What if you could turn your passion for helping others into a career that changes lives, starting with your own? Join Empower's Certified Professional Empower Coach Academy, accredited by the ICF and powered by Oregon State University. Our next cohort begins February 28th. Visit yesempower.com to reserve your spot today.
Welcome to Rewired. Neuroscience meets real life change. This is your space for unlocking intentional growth in yourself and in the people you lead, coach, and inspire. I'm Tiffany Grimes with Empower Coaching and Training, and I'm so happy to be here with you. Okay, listeners, welcome back to Rewired, where neuroscience meets real life change. This is episode 5. I'm Tiffany, and today we're diving into one of my favorite topics, goals, and the scaffolding that helps us actually reach them. So the podcast title is Goals, Boundaries, and Priorities. So you can already start to hear that scaffolding. And this was really motivated by something I was listening to recently as I was traveling down from Oregon, where I'm located, to Monterey, California for a really great conference I had a chance to teach at through the California Workforce Association called Meeting of the Minds. And it was specific for leaders. And so anyways, I was getting myself all amped up listening to some really great podcasts. And one that I love is Jay Shetty's podcast. And he was riffing off on something and said this one sentence that really wasn't part of, it wasn't the point of the whole thing that he was saying. But for me, it was like time kind of stood still for a moment. I pressed pause. I grabbed my phone while driving and very safely found the app for notes and just wrote this down through voice to text, which was, hope is not a game plan. I'm going to say it again. Hope is not a game plan. And it really landed deeply with me. Hope is essential. Hope is the oxygen we breathe. It's the spark that ignites vision. I have on my business card, Hope Dealer, and the back of a shirt we have Hope Dealer for Empower Coaching and Training. Hope is everything as the genesis of your goal attainment, but it is not enough on its own to help you reach your goals. Think about how long you have hoped for something. I hope to retire at this age. I hope to get that meeting that could move my business forward. I hope these things. Hope on its own doesn't drive dreams to realities. It holds them. I think about it like the embryonic fluid, right? If the goal is the baby, it's this embryonic fluid. It's critical. It's crucial. But we also need scaffolding to move us towards our goals. To me, I think about those as things like priorities, boundaries, self-compassion, daily practices, calendaring, all of those things that keep us aligned and moving forward. So let's talk about the 3 steps that we can use to help move us forward in this work. I'm excited to get into it. Thanks for joining us, and here we go. Step 1 on this journey is something that I've talked about in the past. I'm going to assume you've done some work on this and you're coming with this idea of your goal. But if you aren't, if you just know you want change, you want something different, you don't want exactly what is happening for you in your life, the first and most important step on moving forward towards that goal is to get really clear about what it is. What is it that you want? What is the goal that feeds your soul? It might be financial, relational, health related, or like me, maybe it's travel and adventure. Notice how you feel when you think about it. Like observe that process internally. Neuroscience shows that positive anticipation activates dopamine pathways, which is our brain's motivation system, helping us stay energized and creative. So think think about the goals that are exciting for you. And maybe the actual work of saving money isn't that exciting for you, but if we can wrap it into what are you saving money for? Is it the big trip? Is it to buy the house? Is it to have the wedding of your dreams? Is it to, what is it? And let that feed your soul. Let that get your dopamine pathways moving and grooving so that you stay energized and creative as you think about maybe the less exciting work of saving the money to do those things. So you might want to press pause, take a minute, write it down, dream it out, feel into it. Work with a life coach if you're feeling kind of stuck in this area. We have some great ones in Empower. In fact, we'll pause for a moment so that you can get a little bit of information in that, and then we'll be back and get.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Ready to make a real difference? Become a certified professional coach with Empower Coaching and Training. Our next CPEC cohort, accredited by the International Coaching Federation and offered in partnership with Oregon State University, starts February 28th. Spots are limited. Learn more at yesempower.com.
Going. Okay, you've got your goal. Welcome back. Let's talk a little bit about maybe the resistance to move towards that goal before we move into the scaffolding. So here is what I think is a universal truth. The moment we set our goals, the brain starts whispering, you can't do that. You can't do that. And let me tell you all the reasons why. You don't have the money. You don't have the time. You have kids at home. Your work will never let you do that. Your boss will say no. Am I alone in that? Our brain gets busy. And this is just its safety mechanism. It isn't a weakness. It's our brain's threat detection system, the amygdala, trying to keep us safe. So we can just thank that and get to work to kind of reframing those, because those whispers, those barriers, those I can't because are actually clues for you. They show you where you need to build your scaffolding. So write them down, literally. Why are all the reasons you can't do this goal that you just thought about for yourself? Why can't you save money? Why can't you travel for a month? Why can't you buy a house? Why can't you do these things? And then let your brain go to work and write them down. These are clues. We want to know these things so that we can begin to build the scaffolding around them, like prioritizing and boundaries, to actually move ourselves forward. According to positive psychology research, labeling and externalizing our obstacles, or that busyness in our head, reduces their emotional charge, making them easier for us to work with. So get them out of your head. Again, you can press pause if you want. I love to do this work as I'm driving. My brain just goes busy when I'm driving without anybody else in the car. And I go to voice notes on my phone and I just capture things, and it does feel like I have had some progress just by listing those. Now we're going to move to step 2 and step 3 in building the scaffolding. So the first thing is scaffolding around priorities. I could really go off on this, and maybe someday I'll do a podcast just on this. But in fact, this morning at the mindfulness broadcast that we teach every Friday, a free resource for everyone, I'll put the links in the notes. I talked about this a little bit and about how often we give away our power when it comes to our priorities. We say things like, I have to do this, I can't do this, and to really think about what those words mean and what our priorities are. So I want you to think of scaffolding. You've heard me say this word a few times, like around a tall building. Maybe you've seen one go around a building as it's being built, or one around a building as they are cleaning it and doing some repairs. It really allows workers to go higher, to stabilize, to safely build. Your scaffolding that you are putting around your goal is made of priorities and boundaries. And it does the same thing. It's let us build bigger goals. It stabilizes our goals into reality, and it keeps us safe as we're doing this pretty vulnerable work. So let's start with priorities. If your goal is truly a priority, like we've moved out of hope and we've really decided I'm moving this to reality. If it truly is a priority, it will show up in your calendar and your daily habits. Maybe it is a tiny step forward. Maybe your goal is 5 years down the road, but we don't wait until year 4.5 to start working towards that goal. So where is your priority showing up in your life? Maybe it's listening to a podcast on the topic. Maybe it's subscribing to a newsletter. Maybe it's dedicating 5 minutes a day to learning something about this particular goal that you're moving towards. I will share kind of some examples about my own life as I do this. I love to travel. You've heard me say this. I love to do it for work. I love to do it for personal. I love to do it. Even painful travel is like, it's exciting for me and I really love it. And if you've ever done painful travel, like you're exhausted when you've done these trips, you know what I mean? But I have my feeds filled with travel information. So every morning I check a travel newsletter that I subscribe to. It's I wake up in the morning, I do my mindfulness, I have some coffee, and before I get over into work emails, I just look for these little newsletters. And literally, sometimes I don't even read them. I just scan and I'm like, ooh, where's that place? I've never seen that. And I go Google that place. And I think, oh, that's so great. Or, that's not really something I'm interested in. I watch the videos about it. I look them up in TikTok. So I'm prescribing an algorithm. Hey, I want to learn more about that backpacking loop between France and Switzerland. And, I want to know more about New Zealand. I'm really interested in that. So I'm going to self-create algorithms in my social media so that I can learn more about those. And I get anything from like, I did this backpacking trip and I wore one outfit for 10 days, and while we don't think maybe, that's not very helpful in moving me towards my goal, it is. It keeps us going. It keeps us curious. We're seeing landscapes. We're learning from people who've already done these things. It keeps us going. These tiny daily touches keep our goals alive. Research shows that consistent micro actions strengthen neuroplasticity, wiring our brains towards identity-based change. So I am a traveler. So of course I subscribe to these things. We start to build these new brain pathways around it. So ask yourself, what small actions can I take to keep my goal alive? What daily action can I take to move this into my priority list? Am I talking about it? Am I asking about it? Am I looking at pictures? Am I watching videos? Am I learning something every day that moves this forward? Am I protecting that priority? Depending on where you are in your process of goal attainment, it might be that it's time to chunk out times on your calendar that are really about the strategic plan now that you're at phase 9 of the 20 phase project, right? So really thinking about, how am I prioritizing it? Hope is not a game plan. Hope is not going to show up on your calendar. So if you want it to happen, we must make it a priority, even if we're busy. So if you're saying, I don't have time for this, I can't make this happen, how much time a day do you spend on social media? How you're listening to this? You have time to listen to a podcast. Go look for ones on travel. Still listen to this. Still listen to Rewired, but go listen to one on saving money, buying a house, whatever it is. Go prioritize this in a way that you can actually do it. Then we move to this final scaffolding, this final step that we're going to talk about in today's podcast, which is protect that goal with boundaries. Big exhale. So a lot of work around boundaries, a lot of feelings around boundaries. Often we think about boundaries as a way of saying no to other people. But boundaries also means, and more importantly, I think, means saying yes to yourself. I heard this phrase a long time ago, which I really love, is that if I'm saying yes to you, I'm saying no to me. And that's not always true, obviously, but in many cases, when I say yes to another volunteer, another PTO activity, another one of these things, another meeting, another evening, I'm saying no to my priorities. I'm saying no to my goals. So really think about that. It may be a solid yes, it may be a solid no, but it's really about protecting that prioritization of your goals. Without it, you will not move your goal forward. So boundaries could be about time. So I'm going to leave the office 15 minutes earlier than I normally do. So maybe work stops at, I'm going to put stops in quotations, air quotes here, stops at 5, but you don't get out of the office till 6 because you're staying after to do the extra work. That's an hour of your time, precious time, limited time on planet Earth that you are prioritizing work. And that might really be meaningful for you. Great. It might actually be moving you toward your goal, but it might be limiting you from your goal. So you really have to look at this in your own life and see where it lands. But this story we tell ourselves, like, I have to give it all to work. I have to give it all to work. It means that I'm saying yes to work and I'm saying no to me. I'm saying no to maybe an evening walk, or no to a healthy dinner for myself, or no to that 10-minute video that keeps me growing and learning this new language for this new place I want to move, or whatever it is. So if I'm saying yes to this, I'm saying no to something else. Make sure that those things align with your priorities. Could mean boundaries on self-talk. So we're learning to replace things like I have to do this with I'm choosing to do this. I'm prioritizing this today, and I'm going to own that rather than put the power outside of me. So boundaries on how we speak to ourselves about our commitments, about boundaries, about our time, about our priorities, etc. It might mean boundaries on energy. So saying no to commitments that don't align with your priority. Not that everything has to funnel into this priority, but are you engaging in things that are actually limiting you from moving forward? And again, thinking about moving forward is a daily job. It's not right before we think the goal is going to happen. It's a daily job. So am I creating a schedule that keeps me in alignment with those priorities? And what boundaries do I need to put in place on my energy? Because I only have so much, right? I only have so many waking hours. I'll share a personal example. My daughter's school is leaving soon for a science camp, and I volunteered to go. I want to go. That's part of my spirit of adventure. It's, out in this desert, these like dark sky areas, which I'm really excited about. I want to go. I want to volunteer. And I said, yes, I will do that. And the boundary is I will help all day long. I'm going to be there. I won't chaperone a dorm room. I don't want to do that. There's nothing in my body that wants to do that. There's a big should. I should do that. I had this whole story going about how they need parents and they need me there. And I emailed the director and said, I'm available during the day. I'm not available to chaperone at night. What are your thoughts on that? And they said, that's great. We have plenty of chaperones, no problem. So this whole guilt trip I was giving myself and how I should, and just by connecting authentically and setting that boundary, asking about that boundary, it was an invitation. Go. So now I get to go on this adventure, and I'm camping by myself, and I'll be under these beautiful night skies, And I get to go do this with my daughter during the day, which is really exciting. So that boundary lets me serve my daughter in a way that I want that relationship. And it also protects my soul. I get to go let it go free in the evenings and then come back. So it's a fun way to live into a sense of adventure that I want. And I had to set some boundaries around it. And it was again, another insight to me. Half the stories I tell myself aren't true. So boundaries on my self-talk. So when I hear myself saying, I can't do that, they need me at night, I can instead say, what conversation do I need to have? Or what uncomfortable step do I need to take to ensure that I can really authentically be there during the day and have the evenings to myself, right? There's a whole different way that I could have started that conversation. Boundaries aren't selfish, not in the negative way that we think about. They are neuroscience in action. Research on self-determination theory shows that autonomy is a critical ingredient for motivation. So when we protect our time, when we protect our energy, when we protect our values, we are far more likely to sustain momentum. So let's recap on that just a little bit. Get clear on your goal. Notice and observe the resistance with enthusiasm, because those are your tickets to freedom. Those are the places where we know, okay, I need to go build some scaffolding around these things. Then we build that scaffolding, and it starts with small daily priorities. Protect it with boundaries that honor your time, your energy, and your authenticity. And remember, Rewired fans, hope is beautiful. This is not about having this whole thing be a cognitive process. Hope is the air we breathe. Hope is the place of so much of this work. It's the genesis of our dreams. And hoping for goal attainment is not a viable game plan. So if you hear yourself keep saying, I hope to do that someday, I hope I get to go there, I hope I get to do this, listen to that and think, do I really want to prioritize this? And if I do, I've got to do more than hope. I hope you have got some tools to be able to do that now. The game plan is built when you scaffold your goals with intention, self-compassion, courage, and so much more. I'd love to hear from you. What's one boundary you're putting in place this week? Share it with us on social media. We're on LinkedIn, on TikTok. Of course, you can do it wherever you get your podcasts. I also want to just invite you all and really ask you all to please subscribe, to give us that 5-star review, to share Rewired with friends, help us build this podcast community. Until next time, take care. Stay intentional, stay courageous, and remember, your brain is wired for change. So let's rewire together. Thanks for tuning in to Rewired. Neuroscience meets real life change. I'm Tiffany, and I'm so grateful that you were here today. If you enjoyed this conversation, I'd be so grateful if you could take a moment and leave a 5-star review. Your feedback helps more people discover this brand new podcast and gain the tools, insights, and inspirations they need to create lasting change.
Every family has challenges, and every parent deserves support. At Empower Coaching and Training, youth and parenting coach Jasmine Chandler helps parents and young people find clarity, connection, and practical tools that make a difference. Visit yesempower.com to connect with Jasmine and explore our team of incredible coaches today.